Hey guys, Tarke here. I want to give my closing thoughts on the Blink Mirror Arrow Summoner, and also a quick heads up, I'm wearing a green jumper with a green screen, so if it starts fading out, just blame my fashion choices. Now, I will run a quick map and I will show you something stupid, which is playing with mines. Playing with mines straight up is not practical in the slightest and will get you killed. Play it self-cast or play it traps with Saboteur. This was a character I was really enjoying until people asked me to play it with traps. I then tried to play it with traps and found out you cannot realistically play this with traps unless you're a Saboteur. If you want to know why, watch my previous videos when I talk about Blink Mirror Arrow traps. Ever since then, the character has felt awkward to me. This is a build which functions very well, but is very active and is very busy. So the normal playstyle when you're not being stupid and mess around with mines and traps and all this other stuff is blink, blink, apply your curses, apply your bone offerings when you're in a boss fight or pre-boss fight, drop desecrate, do this, boom, boom. You have an effective HP which is fairly high. I have trash tier gear and missing life on the tree, but it's basically 5k life plus EB mom. So it's currently like effective 6k life with block cap. So that's pretty good. You'll notice on the skill tree, the only DPS nodes I have are technically EE and curses. You could argue skill effect duration, but you really don't need to have anything in the tree. You just get all the damage basically from the raw ascendancy because of how much raw minion damage you get here, and the ridiculous scaling of blink and mirror arrow. There might actually be a build which one day uses blink or mirror arrow in a like traditional bow build, because if you just look at the gem, this isn't a level 20 gem, right? 102% increased minion damage. Minions deal 75% more damage. That is a lot of scaling. A lot of scaling. There is potential to fit something wonky into here to single target setups. Maybe something to keep in mind for future builds when, you know, poison gets gutted. Probably won't ever happen, but I said it here first if it ever does happen. So, do I recommend playing with traps or mines as a necromancer? No. If you want to play as traps, do it as a Saboteur. With a Saboteur, you can get the trap cooldown down to about 1 to 2 seconds with 3 charges. I think that will probably be the smoothest this will ever feel for mapping. When I remake this character, probably next league, I will do it as a Saboteur with traps, and I think it'll be much better for general map clear. Defensively, it'll be weaker because it won't have block cap, but that's just that. Now we're going to run a map with mines. This will probably rip the character because with mines you don't have the movement skill. You can add flame dash or something as another one. If you put in another blink arrow as an example, it will share a cooldown with your mine blink arrow. So yeah, mines are bad. I don't have anything spec'd into mines, so they can get destroyed. If it rips, it rips. I've had fun with this character. If it doesn't, then I've had fun with this character, and you guys got to watch some memes. Now, oh, whoops. Oh, God. I have my weapon swap bound to the button next to my detonate mines. That's what went wrong there. Let's try not to do that again. Now, another very big issue with adding mines is you make a already busy spec even more busy. You just add so much clunkiness to a build whose only flaw was clunkiness. The clear speed was surprisingly good. The damage was surprisingly good. The problem was this was just a tiring character to play, and that's why I want to play it with traps now, because it would remove a lot of the frustration of the build. Now, I'm someone who regularly raids in WoW. I play an Ele Shami, so you could argue that I've got a pretty brain-dead rotation, but I'm used to spamming lots of different buttons, and that was one of my original appeals of this character. However, this isn't a character which suits itself to very long play sessions. Usually, you know, when you're tryharding in WoW, it's for a couple of hours in a raid, maybe for grinding out, like, dungeons all day, it drags on. But even when you do like no life 8-hour binges, 12-hour binges, 24-hour binges in WoW, it's not like super intense APM all the way through. This is a tiring build to play. I'd often have the issue of I'd get ready for a big map session, and within like an hour of grinding, I was kind of like, my hand hurts. Please, daddy, don't make me play anymore. God. Whoa. One other thing which is mildly annoying about this gameplay, I just got dunked on then, is when the golem dies, EBMOM falls apart completely. And that feels fucking terrible. So this is one of the first EBMOM builds I've played in a very long time. That was odd wording. Not sure why I chose to word it like that. But yeah, I don't like my golem randomly getting dunked and suddenly I lose all my regen, my mana, which is how I cast my skills, like it's died just now, and a big defensive aspect of the build. Now, yeah. This is why I don't like mines. I have to manually reposition. It feels so much smoother just blinking around. And in a case like this, you can see the DPS isn't even that much of an increase because you have worse control over the positioning of your mobs. When you have blink and mirror arrow, you can just pop the mobs directly where you want to. So you can force the AI. Whereas when you play with mines, you have little to no control over what happens because you just need to drop them at your feet or run right up to the mob and then pop them off. So just, if I hadn't convinced you already not to play this build as mines, don't play this build as mines, for the love of God. If you want to just play a cool or wacky build, go for it. If you want to play a cool, wacky build and avoid repetitive strain injury, then probably play this as a Saboteur. Not only will you have general smoother map clear from not needing to worry about the cooldowns as much, because you'll have much higher quality of life through the traps, you also won't need to maintain a offering. I'm using Bone Offering. I ended up putting increased duration on it in the end to make it feel less spammy. It lasts for about 12-ish seconds, which is pretty good. And considering it does give me block cap, it's well worth the aggro. But with everything else, it does kind of get a little bit frustrating. Now, even though this has been a very negative video, this has still been one of my favorite builds that I've ever played. And this is an idea that I want to revisit. But it's just something that right now I don't want to play because it feels like too much work. It is surprisingly good for a league starter. And again, you're watching a very gimped version of it. Watching it without mines, it plays infinitely smoother. But I can't be asked to recolor my bow to show you what that already looks like. There are already videos of it on my channel in the leveling process. The fact that you can get so much out of a tree with 0 damage investment is pretty interesting. And it's basically the exact same tree that you would see on nearly any SRS build or most generic summoners. So if you have any summoners lying around that you're not playing anymore, or if you are still actively playing, just throw Blink Mirror Arrow on there, a Lionized Glare, and you're basically good to go. But yeah, I just thought I'd give you guys an update. For the next build, I will potentially move on to the Fire Nova Mines character, even though I've just shat all over mines and how awkward they are to play in this one. That will play fairly differently because it'll be a case of I just drop one mine, then press one button to detonate. I'm not doing 1, 2, 3 curse offering, you know. I'll either do that or I'll do something castery. I haven't played many casters this league. I'm kind of bowed out, shall we say. I would still want to do my big bow build roundup video, which will come towards the end of the league. I was actually going to make one just the other day, but then Mathel started playing a bow character, and I thought, I'll wait a little bit so people don't start saying, oh, but Tarke, you're copying Mathel. Hashtag played that build first. Anyway. One other brief thing, as you know, I now do Patreon now, so click on the link if you want to do Patreon stuff. I said I would make little plugs at the end of videos. That's a little plug at the end of the video. I'm Tarke. The cat is sleeping on the bed. You probably can't see the cat. Okay, you see that, like, big bundle of blankets and fur? In the middle of that is a cat. You see him? You see him? No, she's tucked in. She's tucked in. She's there. She's there. Anyway. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.